What is up, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day today. We have another episode of Executive Trend where I get AI to ask me questions based on my strengths and trending topics in the market. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today's question is about signal versus noise. And so the question is, with everyone using AI tools, the volume of content has exploded. In your view, what separates signal from noise now? Is it depth of experience, clarity of positioning, distribution strategy, or something else entirely? And so it was kind of cool because I got the opportunity to hang out with a lot of business owners this past week at an executive coaching event, and we were talking about AI. And so in my last video, I actually mentioned the 30, 40, 30 concept. And so basically what I tell people is your ideation and your distribution should be used and done by AI as much as possible, but that 40% is really what's going to separate you from signal and noise. And so depth of experience is a great way to put it, but I also just tell people it's your expertise and what you've succeeded at. I think a lot of times what happens in the market is, especially with AI, people are now creating content at scale and they want to come across as experts or they want to come across as gurus, but the people who can really separate themselves in the content that they create are the people who simply just talk about what they've accomplished. So, for example, if I start a video and I say, here's why you should film your videos on an iPhone, and I just talk about everything that ChatGPT has given me, that's one way to put the content out. But the fact of the matter is anybody can do that. But if my hook is, here's how I got to work with Shaquille O'Neal only using an iPhone to produce videos, well, the benefit there is that nobody else can just say that because it's not verified and it's not honest if they say that. And so I think right now what's happening in the content world is if you've achieved something and you've accomplished something, whether you're an organization or you're a brand, a personal brand, whether it be a CEO, executive, entrepreneur, that is what's going to cause you to separate yourself from other people in the market. It's not going to be how cool your content looks, because right now, because of AI, everybody's content is going to start to look the same. For example, when it comes to videos, iPhones actually produce great videos. And so if you're producing videos with an AI editing software, now you look very similar to somebody who used to have a whole team producing their videos for them. If you were somebody who was a graphic designer before, now somebody who has ChatGPT can create graphics that look very similar to yours. And so, again, it's one of these things where you can try to justify that your content looks better, that it looks more polished. But I think also right now what's happening is people are looking for authentic connections. And so the person who has perfectly polished content all the time really gets thrown into a pool of everybody else because that's what everybody else is able to produce. And so at the basis of it, it's what makes you different from everybody else in your industry. It's kind of the reason that over the last, I would say, 6 months, I've been saying that when I talk about business, I say over the last 6 years, over the last 6 years. And I'm not saying that from a perspective of arrogance. I'm saying that from a perspective of, if I can show you that this is what I've learned over the last 6 years, it separates me from anybody else who's had less than 6 years experience in the industry. And so I think that if you're a CEO, if you're an executive, that it's super important that the way that you create your content is different from other people. And the way that you make it different is by talking about the accomplishments that you have and the things that you've achieved in your industry. Because at the end of the day, anybody can go into ChatGPT or whatever AI they use and create a script. But if you can add your accomplishments or your expertise to that script, that's what makes you different from everybody else in your industry and everybody else that you're trying to compete with.